in your new Money Matters file, go to the receipts page, check that the year at the start, at the top of the page, is the September, October that the year starts in, and make sure that you have put your branch name into this box here. Once those have been done, all the dates and branch names will be carried throughout the rest of Money Matters. If you need to transfer your data from the older version of Money Matters to the new version, go back to the old version of Money Matters. And click in the first cell of October. If you click, hold and drag down to the bottom, to the last item in your date column, and then drag across until you get to the end of column 2B. Then you can copy that data, go back to your new file, click in that first date cell again, and I would usually use paste special. That will make sure that any formatting in the new version will be put in properly. Now you can see we've put all of the first 3 columns in. If you have, one of the features of this new version of Money Matters is that proceeds, branch activities and fundraising other now has some sub-columns. So if you want to use one of your sub-columns, and I'm going to use mine for coins for friendship, because we have that each month, and I'm going to then transfer that number from the straight other column into the coins for friendship column. Now I go back to my original copy as well. Next we can copy donations to branch across to the end of interest. Copy those cells, go back to the new copy and paste them in. The one thing, if you're doing those 4 columns at once, the one thing to check is that whether the interest you have just put in, it will by default go into other when you're pasting. If it's actually interest from CWA, then you need to move it from this column to this column. Then you can go back to your new file and copy the last 5 columns if you have anything in those, and go back to the new version and paste those last 5 columns. Then on the receipts page, don't forget to go across and copy your date banked, and then go to the new column, new version, and paste that column as well. Now those auto calculations, you'll see, took a little while to come up because you're copying and pasting. Normally it's used to only putting one number at a time. Then we can scroll down and do the same thing with the next month. So we go back to our new one, scroll down to November, date across to the end of fundraising other, copy, go back to the new one, paste special. I want to move my coins for friendship into that column. That, go back and copy my date banked. Now, if you've only got a few entries like that, it may be even quicker to just do it month at a time. Now, if we go to the payments page, make sure again that we're at October from the previous year. We'll go back to our old one. Go to the payments page and go up to the top. Now with this one you can only copy the first up to the end of the head office column in the first go, and then go back to the new version and paste those in. You will notice that we've moved the columns around a bit in this one. So we need to go back and say, alright, this is an other fundraising expense. It was for our breast cushions. Now that's one I want to keep separate, so I'm going to go back to my new one, and I'm going to make this column breast cushions. And then I should have written that in first. I need to copy again and paste that amount in there. And then this was our donations that we're sending to group to go to head office. So that amount is all going to go into proceeds donations sent to head office. Then I go back to my original version, make sure I copy my balance brought forward from the previous month, which is actually at this point the previous year. Paste that value in there, go back to the original one, copy my statement balance, go back to the new one, copy and paste my statement balance. Now, then we go and copy my unpresented checks, and you will notice there's one from the previous year as well. Make sure you don't forget to include those if you have any, and then paste them in. Red boxes have gone, everything's balanced. So for the subsequent months in payments, we can do the same thing. Across to head office, back to the new one, paste those in, back to the old one. Look at what I've got. I've got another fundraising expenses, which is for catering, so it's just going to go back straight in fundraising other. I've got net proceeds, that's our land cookery money, so it's going to go into proceeds and donations sent to head office. Now you'll notice that as I copy these, I'm copying from the top of the row, even though they may not include anything. I've got that in donations, which isn't actually correct. It is actually our group levy, so I'm going to paste that one into my group levy column, and then I will find my sundries, which I know from over here is actually the levy, cookery and deposits, which is my deposits for conference, which means those are group and branch councillor. That should just be branch councillors and delegates costs. And then back I had one more, which was our rent to pay for the room that we use for our meeting, and so I need to paste that in expenses for rooms and go across to the end and make sure there's no reds, so all my addings up across the page worked. Now back to the old version, copy my statement balance, paste it in, still not balancing, must have unpresented checks. I can actually see there are two, but I'm pretty sure I actually have more than that. So we'll copy those and paste them in there. All our red's gone. So there's my first 2 months of receipts and payments copied.